Christie, and I hope you are having a good Friday where you are. Thank you for joining me. Tell me about what the weather's like where you are. I think I saw 61 for the weather today. I think that was today. It might have been yesterday. But anyway, tell me if you're having nice weather. Hi, good afternoon. So I am here to talk about spelling UC and to share a little bit about what I've learned through the years that we've been doing Sonlight. And here, I think my goal today, my main goal, is not that you walk away and everyone goes and does spelling UC. So some people will want to do spelling UC, and Sonlight offers different options. And also important to note is that spelling is included in Sonlight through 3rd grade or through C or through Language Arts 4, any of those. So you have a spelling program that comes with Sonlight, and so you know, it's not necessary that you do an extra program. Some people choose to. I chose to 1 year because I was doing spelling UC with my 2 middle guys, and my youngest wanted to do what his older brothers were doing, and so I used Wild Tales, which is C, and I used that the year before Sonlight even includes it into an all subjects package, and it was just because my younger guy wanted to be doing exactly what his older brothers were doing, and so that's why we chose to do level C, which you know, Sonlight does not include in a package, but it does sell it in case you want to purchase it separately. So spelling UC starts with from what I could see, Language Arts D or a 4th subject, all subjects package. All right, let's see. I'm trying to read here. Okay, so thank you all for joining me. I appreciate it. I'm glad you guys are here, and I hope that this is encouraging. Like I said, my main goal is that it's encouraging for whoever chooses to do spelling UC, because let's face it, in the app or on social media, on Facebook, whenever you mention any program that you're doing, a lot of times, hi, welcome. A lot of times people will say, oh, we tried that, it didn't work for us. And I do value opinions when people say things like that. But I do know that I, in the past, have said something like that years ago, and I had tried it maybe for a little short period of time. And with spelling, I think it is one of those, you know, just like with potty training, if you try something, you can say, oh, I tried it, it didn't work. And it's just because the child wasn't developmentally ready to potty train. So it's not that the procedure was, or that the, you know, method was bad, or the research was bad, or any of that, or that it didn't work. You know, it's just that it didn't work right then. So I think that happens a lot with writing, with reading, with spelling, any of those developmental topics, you know, subjects. So I think it's important just to know that. And also spelling UC, spelling correctly. It's about one of the goals is to spell correctly when words are printed on the visual memory. That's the background of using spelling UC, is that we spell correctly when words are imprinted on the visual memory. So that's kind of at the base of this approach. And it is a different approach. It's a different approach than tests and long lists and that kind of thing. So no spelling tests, no word lists, no flashcards. So it is a different approach. And I'm just going to flip through and kind of show you. And I've done, again, what I'll often do when I just buzz right in and start. I didn't say I'm Christie, I'm on the mentor team. I said, I'm glad you're here, but I'm Christie, I'm on the mentor team. I've used spelling UC a couple of years, and that was because we started carrying it towards the end of when my guys needed that spelling program. So I'll just launch right in here. Let's see. This allows students to develop spelling skills naturally at their own pace. Spelling UC, you know, basically with the direction and encouragement of an instructor. Okay, and that's us. So like writing, reading, and other language arts skills, spelling is very much developmental. So I wanted to include that. This is a research-based program. If you look at the handbooks, I have a few of them from the levels that we have done. These handbooks, I'm going to show you how small this is. So it's very non-intimidating. See, this is a regular like 8.5 by 10, whatever it is, large, and it's smaller than that. And you see how this is one semester's book for your child, and there is a first semester and second semester book for each level. This is your guide. It is just this, see how small it is in comparison. It's just this little booklet, really. And, you know, well used. As you can see, mine is kind of, you know, fraying a little bit. But anyway, it's just this little guide, and it's very thin. And it basically, when you go into this guide, it gives you the philosophy behind spelling you see. It gives you the 5 stages of spelling development, and it goes through those: pre-literate, phonetic, skill development, word extension, and derivational constancy. And you can read all about that. Each one, there you go. You can read all about that. And then there is a sequence and placement, you know, kind of a list of the sequence. There are 7 levels. So if you were to start at the beginning, which again, Sonlight starts right in level D, Americana, which matches Sonlight's level D. I did level C, Wild Tales, because like I said, my son wanted to do that with his older brothers when they were doing levels D and E. And so it goes through and it matches up really nicely with levels D and above. So that's when Sonlight starts including it in the all subjects package, and in the, you know, language arts D and following. Another thing I see a lot of times, if you have any questions about spelling you see, please add those to the comments, or if you're watching this later, in the comments below, and one of us will chime in there. But basically, when let me see, levels D and following, I was saying, one of the things I hear people asking about is, why is it blank in my book when it says spelling? So the guide, in your language arts guide, you are going to have a space there, because basically everyone is doing spelling based on, you know, the placement for their child. So at different levels, people are going to be reaching different placements. And I just wanted I printed out the spelling readiness guidelines from the website. This is 7 pages, but it just basically gives you some guidelines here, and it goes through questions for each level of spelling you see, to know if your child's ready for that level. So basically, one of the big things that they recommend is not trying to match the student's reading level to an equivalent spelling level. So, you know, basically each developmental stage needs to be mastered before moving to the next. So research has not indicated a correlation between reading achievement and spelling ability. So you can't just, you know, right. Sonlight does carry the other levels. Like I said, we got Wild Tales, but it's not suggested until D, right? And not included in the all subjects package. That's right. So so basically, don't try to just say, oh, this is their reading level, so that'll be their spelling level. I would go through and look at the questions and see placement wise. If you just look at the spelling you see product area, it will give you a link to the placement. I think in each section, there is a little note, and it has a link in it. It says General Spelling Readiness Guidelines, and you can just click on that link, and it'll take you right to these guidelines where it asks you questions for each level. To place your student in spelling you see, read the guidelines for all the levels and determine which level looks the most appropriate. It's kind of like with our math placement test. If there is a sample paragraph, have the student write it from dictation and check the spelling of the given words. If your student can complete the page easily and spell all the words correctly, try the guidelines for the next level and keep going until you get to their level. If your student struggles with the first dictation, try the guidelines for the previous level and continue in this manner until you arrive at the correct placement level. And that's what I did with my son. I knew that my guys were going to be doing D and E, and my younger guy, I knew it was probably going to be one of these, so I just backed up and did those and found his just right level. So I'm going to show you that first. I'm just going to pick one before D is C. That's Wild Tales. And how do you know, is your child ready for Wild Tales? Is my student becoming comfortable with reading? Can my student comfortably write 2 or 3 sentences at a time? And then can your student read this passage without difficulty? So there's a little 3-line passage there. If your child can read that passage without difficulty, now dictate the passage to your student. Then answer the following questions. Was my student able to complete the dictation with relative ease? Was my student able to complete the dictation in 10 minutes or less? And when writing the passage from dictation, did my student correctly spell at least 8 of the words from this list? And it gives you a little list down here. Sheep, cold, horns, they, fight, eat, grass, hills, find, and food. If there are 8 words from that list that they spelled correctly, yes, then you can start with Wild Tales. Okay, so it kind of gives you that, and it gives you a little description of basically there are factual passages about animals in this level. Students will mark various letter patterns, copy passages, and produce their own compositions and drawings. Practice write, and it's a little, I'm going to read one of my sons because it's good memories when I get to that. But basically, it's a quick little few sentences that they write. When it says their own compositions, that sounds fancy, but it's you know, a few sentences. They will also practice writing the stories from dictation with assistance. Okay, so it's telling you exactly what they're going to do, and it gives you the guidelines to kind of place your student. So once you're placed, and there is a good description of what exactly in Wild Tales your child will, in Americana your child will. It goes through and tells everything that they will be doing for each level, and so that's all on the website. Now to the product, back to the teacher's guide. It goes through, it gives you the sequence and the placement. It goes about Wild Tales, about, you know, it kind of gives an overview, needed items, and just different using nursery rhymes and stories, daily worksheets, and then tips for success. Obviously, we're not going to be doing nursery rhymes and stories in D and above. So if you are, thank you, Jonna. Jonna's got the link there for the guidelines. Online resource for this level. Okay. Each level has an online page with links to additional materials and resources to enhance your instructional program. Yes. And then it goes through and it gives you lesson 1, you're doing vowel chunks, more vowel chunks in lesson 2, lesson 3, consonant chunks, more consonant chunks, bossy R chunks, tricky Y guy. So it kind of has fun names for different spelling elements, silent letters. And then it gives you instructions for lessons 8 through 36. There's a weekly activity guide with guided reading, chunking. It tells you everything you need to know about how to do this. It gives you all of the endings, pink or red. You know, every chunk, consonant chunks are blue, bossy R is purple, tricky Y guy is green. So it kind of goes through and it gives you that you're, you know, and a kind of an outline of what you're going to be doing. Copy work, no rule day, dictation. And then it goes into this section with frequently asked questions, and there's I learned a lot from that. It's 2 pages. And then there's the passages for dictation, just in your book there, so that and they're numbered. My son did not appreciate, I will tell you, he did level C, and just to let you know, the level before D, Wild Tales, the second half has passages about animals, and he loved those. He thought those were great, and he couldn't wait to get to those because the first semester they were doing nursery rhymes, and he was a little offended about that because we did those in preschool, we did those in pre-K, we did those in kindergarten, and he was not in any of those levels. He was in whatever, third grade or whatever it was. So he was a little upset about the passages for dictation in the first semester. It had Little Boy Blue, I'm a Little Teapot, Starlight, Start Bright, This Old Man, you know, all of these kind of things. So he, Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. So he was not so happy with the first 18 weeks, just for full disclosure. That was not Sawyer's favorite. And then there's an answer key, and that's basically the rest of the book, except for a really part I like. Well, there's the glossary, and then the bibliography gives you her background, like what she studied, the research that this method is based on. It goes into just some of these: scaffolding children's learning, becoming literate, the construction of inner control, what changes in writing can I see, when your child struggles, the myths of 2020 vision, what every parent needs to know, phonics they use, words for reading and writing. It goes on, and it has all of these great resources that she used for research. There's 2 pages there, or a page and a half. And then an index of topics, and that's it. So not this, I just wanted to kind of flip through this really quickly so you could see there's a lot packed into this, but it's not intimidating or overwhelming. It's very easy. You can see that I mark where I am with the stickies just for quick checking. And so that was easy to use. Okay, so just getting down to the product. Each day there is a passage, and you read the story to your student. So there are basically 3 tasks for the parent each day. You're going to first read the story to the student. So there's just like, 4 lines right there, and you're going to read that to your student, and then you read it together slowly and have the student to point as you read. And I have these little colored pencils, and we usually use these as our little pointers. So they would point, and we would read it together. Some people use sponges to clean, and we read the whole passage together. So you're more than halfway finished now after you've done that. The third thing is, together you find and mark the vowel chunks. And there's no mystery. There's no great mystery. The vowel chunks are here, and then you mark them here. And the research is showing basically that marking of the passage is what is helping them visually see when, learning the spelling through that visual memory. And so that's why all the repetition happens in this level. So day 1, you've read it to them, you've read it together, and you've had them point as you go. And then the third thing, find and mark the vowel chunks in yellow. Refer to the instructor's handbook for more information on chunking if you need that. Okay. So what I usually do is I look at, as we're doing this part, I would look in my guide, and it tells you exactly how many they're going to find. So if they are missing 2 or 3, I might look and see, okay, I count and see how many they have marked, or we have marked together because we're doing this together. And then I tell them, oh, we have 3 more. Can you find them? I don't see them. And we'll kind of look through until we find them. So that's it. That's all that we do for the day together. Then I have them copy and chunk the story. So this is not the full passage. It's part of the passage. 1, 2, 3, 4 lines that they're writing. Some people use sponges to clean. Did you know that sponges are animals? They live in the ocean. Short little passage there. They write that, and then they mark the chunks, and they can just look right over here and do this independently. My guys always did this part independently. Then the next day, guess what? We're going to first read the story to their students. So same passage. I'm going to read it again, and then we're going to read it together slowly. Have them point as you read. It's a quick thing that we go through, just like brushing your teeth every day, twice a day. This is what you're doing. You only have to do this once, not twice a day. So you have them point as you read together, find and mark the vowel chunks. So we're doing this again together. Here's the box, and you can say, oh, I see one there. Do you see one in this word? And then they can find it however you want to do that to make it interactive and fun. You mark those, and then they can use that. They're going to copy the 4 lines here, and then they're going to, I don't know if you can see that, copy these 4 lines, and then they're going to mark the vowel chunks on this page. Just like you have them over here. So it's not it's not mysterious, it's not hard, it's just something that we do, and it is repetitive. Okay, then day 3, it's the same kind of thing. Day 4 is different. The first part is different. Is the same, where you mark the passage, and then rather than writing it and marking it, they're going to write your own sentences about sponges. And I'm going to read my son's just for fun. So I guess this is the year that we read the Penderwicks. I don't know if you guys have read the Penderwicks stories, but my guys read all of the books because they liked them. And one of the sisters, I think her name is Jane, she likes to write stories, so she's writing her own books. And so they set out to write their own books while we were reading that series. Have you guys read the Penderwicks? If you've read the Penderwicks, tell me. My guys loved it. If you haven't read that and you have kids in the middle age range, middle grades, then it's a great series. So this is my son's little story. One morning, Tlitch and Tlotch, these were his main characters, Tlitch and Tlotch, fell into the ocean, and a sponge started to suck them into itself, but they got away. That's his very long sentence and his story. And it's based on the fact that whatever he saw in the picture, that's exactly what he wrote about. And so the next day, they are going to follow the same instructions, and then you dictate it to them, they write it. And then I love this part. I spelled blank words correctly, and I didn't, usually we had them count, but this is second semester, and by second semester it was all but one, so we just wrote in all but one. But anyway, at the beginning of the year, he did count all the words that he spelled correctly, and it was, like 50 words or, whatever it was. I was going to read you this other passage here because, see, the sloth, this was week 20. One morning, Tlitch was trying to get a sloth to move off of a tree. He tried for hours and the sloth didn't move, but luckily the vortex, I'm not sure, came and made a portal and made the sloth move. So that is his story for the consonant chunks week for week 20. But anyway, yeah, that's Wild Tales. They don't get that no rule day, I don't think, in level D and following. Let me see what they do on oh no, they just get more dictation. So I'll show you what I did with real quickly with level D, Americana. This is the first year that Sonlight carries it in the language arts and schedules it, and in the all subjects package. So they do read the story to your student, read it together slowly, have the student point to each word as you read, and then vowel chunks are 2 vowels that occur together in a word. You will make one sound together with your student. Find and mark all the vowel chunks in yellow. So again, it's there. It's not hard or mysterious. It's an easy thing to do. It's just that repetition each day of doing that. So my son and I found these together. He marked them and then copy the story and mark the vowel chunks. So you can see it's a significant, several lines there that they write, and then they mark it. And again, we marked it together on the left page, and then on this page, he was doing this independently. He was copying it and writing it and marking it independently, and I would check it later. And it's a quick check. We did the exact same thing the second day, the third day, and then on the fourth day, there was a first dictation. And when he spelled all the words correctly on the first dictation, I did not make him do the second day. So we would just have a 4-day program then, if he missed one, then we would go ahead and do the second day. But If he didn't, then we would, I didn't see the need to do it again. But that is everything in a nutshell. Basically, as you're going through, when he would write, as I was dictating, we took a sentence at a time and you correct it as you go. I know that years ago, I remember teaching my second year of teaching. I was overseas working with a homeschool family, and there was a little guy, and he struggled so much with spelling, and he was in a traditional homeschooling program, and he had all of these words he missed, and it was just this big, all this drama about spelling. And this would have been a great program for him, because you go sentence by sentence, and all you have to work with is just this one sentence. So if you're really struggling with spelling, I could see this being a help also, because you're just doing one sentence at a time and you're correcting it, and then you move on with a fresh slate for the next sentence. And so I love that part of it, and I love that you mark all the words that you spelled correctly instead of how many you missed. That is a much better way of looking at it, especially if you have someone struggling. I did have him mark over the words like this. I thought that would help him remember the words, get that visual image of each word better. And so this is how I wanted him to do it. He did, as you can see, he kind of underlined it here. I don't know. That might be debatable. But anyway, if you have any questions about spelling UC, please add them below or in the comments, and I would be glad to flip through and see if I can answer your questions. I hope you have a great afternoon. Thanks. Happy Friday.